All right. In our first section here, number 1 and 2, reminder you have a chart for these, you guys, in 5-1A. If you don't know your chart, what do I need you to do? Study. Thank you. Standard form, what does that mean? Highest power to lowest power. Okay. So on number 1, what should we write first? Negative 3x to the fourth. Some people I would super recommend crossing things out, and also watch out for your signs, because if this part is wrong, everything's wrong. Okay. Next we have our x to the thirds. When we combine those, how many do we have? 4. So I'm going to have 4 because one's a positive, one's a negative. Okay. And then chilling at the end here, we're going to have negative 2. Okay. This next part, as I said, if you don't know this, reminder, I have a chart for you guys in your 5-1A notes. Okay. So I'm going to name it based off the degree. So I have a 4th power. So I'm going to call this a quartic. Okay. Reminder, I'm not going to judge you on your guys' spelling, but got to make it close. Okay. I have 3 terms, so I'm going to call it a trinomial. Yep. Okay. Now this next part, I'm going to put a little like study guide for you guys down here. This is when we're talking about our end behavior. Okay. So reminder, if I have a positive in front of my x and I have an even exponent, what does my shape of my graph look like? A U. So I'm going to have a U. Okay. If I have a negative and an even, I have an upside down U. Okay. If I have a positive and an odd exponent, are they used anymore? No. That's when we have that S thingy. So the S, or the line, is going up. And if I have a negative and an odd, that means it starts up and then it goes down. Okay. I'd super recommend people write it down and study it. That's probably where I'd say several of us are really struggling. Okay. So now, if I look at the problem we just did, we have an even and a negative in front. So what's my shape there? It's upside down U. So it looks like this. So what are you going to tell me about its 2 end sides? Are they both going down? So I'm going to say negative infinity, negative infinity. Okay. So some of us, I think we've forgotten this. So we need to study that. Okay. All right. Let's do our next one. What is our highest degree there? 5x to the third. Okay. And then we're going to have, I'm going to say plus 42x because our 45, yep. So I'm going to have plus 42x, okay? Degree, what am I going to call this? Cubic and binomial. Okay, so again, if you don't know where those words are coming from, you have a chart there. I have an odd power, positive in front. So that means I have this shape here that it starts down and then it goes up. So we're going to say negative infinity and then positive infinity because it's going up. Okay. Some of us need to study that, okay? All right. Questions in that section? Okay. Our next section is our calculator, and I'm actually going to add something on there. Can everybody open their packet? And I want everyone to look at number 9. I'm also secretly going to have you guys do number 9 at the same time, okay? Because do you guys see how it says number 9, use your graphing calculator to find the 0? I haven't taught you guys that yet, but it's just going to be another step on your calculator. It's not going to be bad. So we're going to take number 9 and we're going to add it to our 2 problems here, okay? So we're going to add a third line here, and we're going to say find our 0, and I'll explain that in a second, okay? And luckily, it's something we've already done on our calculator. I just didn't add this on our calculator day because we were already doing so much, okay? All right, so everybody's grabbing your calculator, and what is the first button we got to push? Y equals. Okay, so everybody's grabbing a calculator. If you don't have one, I still have one more on my desk. So I'm hitting the Y equals button. Now I'm going to assume a lot of you have things in your calculator, so reminder, hit the clear button to clear all that stuff out. And then we're typing in our number 3 there. So we're typing in the equation. So I'm going to have x to the third. Okay. Everyone should be grabbing a calculator. You all need to know how to do this for your test. Okay. I want you to double, triple check. Do you have the correct equation? Because if it's the wrong equation, is everything going to be wrong? Okay. All right. After you hit y equals, after you plug in your equation, what's the next thing you do? Hit graph. So I'm going to hit graph because I just want to see what's going on. Okay. So on our graph here, ladies and gentlemen, we have our 3 things that are going on. Does everybody see how we have a max? Okay, so we have a max there, so we have to find that. Okay. Does everybody see how we have a min? Okay. Now that third thing that we are going to find, min, spelled correctly, Bills, the third thing we're going to call is our 0. And if you remember, I have another name I've called a 0, x-intercept. So this right here, that's our 0, aka an x-intercept. Okay. All right. Are you guys okay to go in order on how our paper has it? Are you guys okay to find max first? Okay. So if I'm going to find max, what's the first thing I have to hit? Second and then trace. Don't hit just trace. Second and then trace. So second, trace. We're doing max first, correct? Max. Okay, so number 4. And so I see my cursors to the right, but it says I need to be to the left. So I'm going to click over till I'm to the left of it. And a reminder, it's not going to be exact. You just want to be close to the left of it. So then I'm going to hit enter. Notice the arrow is pointing towards it. If it's not, you've done something wrong. And now I need to be to the right of it. I'm going to hit enter. And then we want to guess, so I want to be as close as I can to it. Are you guys okay with that for our max? Okay, well now you have it. All right, so for our max, we're going to have negative 0.54. Is everybody okay with my rounding for that? Negative 0.54. And then 7.88. If you're not getting this, do I have something you could sign up for tomorrow if you're struggling with calculator still? Yep. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do the min. So I'm going to hit second, trace. This time we're doing the min, so I'm going to do the third one. My cursor is way up here, so I have to get it closer to over here. So I'm going to hit right till I get over there. Is my cursor to the left of my min. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to go to the right of it, and a guess. Are we getting that for our min? Okay, all right, so we have 1.87 and 0.94. Okay, is everybody okay with that? All right, the last thing I'm going to show you on your calculator. So notice, we're finding our 0. Is everybody with me? We're finding our 0. Yeah. So I want to have everyone hit second, and then trace. And what do you see on number 2? Our 0. So it's going to calculate this for us, our x-intercept. So we want number 2. Now here's where it's a little confusing, you guys. So we are trying to find this point here, and it says left bound. So what that means is we have to be down over here to be left bound, and right bound is going to be up over here. Okay, so I got to get my cursor all the way down over there because that's theoretically left of it. Okay, so I'm a little bit below it. So I just hit my left button until I'm below it. And then I hit enter. Do you see how the arrow is pointing towards it? Is everybody okay with what I've done? Okay, and now I'm going to go a little bit above it. I'm going to hit enter. And do you see how the 2 arrows are pointing towards that red dot that I put on there? Okay, our guess, again, you're just going to try to get as close as you can. And then I'm going to hit enter. Did everyone get that? Okay, we know we did it correctly because what does y equal right now? 0. Yeah. So here's what you're going to write to me. You're just going to tell me x because we already know y equals 0. And so we're going to say x equals 1.81. Okay. All right. Cool. What? It is negative. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. That's my little negative there. Okay. We okay? All right. I'm going to have you guys clear and try the next one. Okay, all right, these last two are brought to you by 5-2. So this is when we are writing it in standard form, okay? So I'm giving you the answers and we're trying to write the equation, okay? How many answers I have is the power I should have. So on this first one, we should have x to the, third because there's 3 answers. Are we all remember? Okay, good, all right. All right, so I'm gonna have x to the third. Okay, so we're gonna start it off. And I'm going to say y equals, and a reminder, this is when we're writing it in factored form, so in our parentheses, and you have the opposite sign. So I'm going to have x minus 3, and then I'm going to have x plus 3, and then I'm going to have x minus 4. And now, what F word are we about to do? It's in factored form, so we need to FOIL. So this entire section, you are FOILing constantly. Okay, I would super recommend FOILing those first two together because it's going to end up being a little bit easier because they have similar things. Okay, so I'm FOILing, so I'm going to have x squared plus 3x minus 3x minus 9. And what do we notice what's about to happen to those 3's? They're going to cancel. Yeah, so our 3's are going to cancel. Okay. And now I'm going to be left with x squared minus 9. Reminder, we still have this guy up here, so I got to bring that one down. And then what are you going to do again? You're going to FOIL again. Yeah, this entire section you are FOILing constantly. If you're not FOILing, you're wrong. All right, so we're FOILing. And make sure when you FOIL this time, make sure you put it into standard form because we're about to have our answer. So I'm FOILing. I'm going to have x to the third. I'm going to move my outside, so I'm going to have negative 4x squared. My inside, so negative 9x. And at the end here, positive 36. Are we in standard form? Did we end up with x to the third we were supposed to? Yes, so that's how we know we're done. Okay. Questions on that? We did that early last week. Everyone's good? Okay. All right, let's do the next one. So what do I know I'm going to be left with? X to the third again, okay. So I know I'm going to have x to the third. Okay. So I'm going to have x minus 1, x plus 1, and x minus 7. So reminder, you're just flipping your signs. Okay. Again, I would suggest FOILing those first two together first. So I'm going to have x squared plus 1x minus 1x minus 1. Our inside junk is going to cancel. I hope you guys know there's going to be a pattern there. So I'm going to be left with x squared minus 1. I'm bringing down that x minus 7. And then we're FOILing again. So I'm going to have x to the third minus 7x squared minus x plus 7. Are we in standard form? Do we have x to the third like we were supposed to? Okay. All right, these are my two basic two. Any questions on these two? Okay, are you guys ready for our last problem? Does everybody have this written down? Because clearly I've taken up all my space. Okay, when we look at the next two are very different, correct, than the first two? because they have i's and square roots. And what do we know? Remember about that? I'm sorry, what? So we need to cancel them, and to cancel them, we need a conjugate. So if I have positives, the conjugate would be a negative. Okay, so the conjugate of square root of 2 would be negative square root of 2, and the conjugate of 3i would be negative 3i. At the very end, what should we end up with right now? X to the fourth. Yeah, we have 4 answers right now. Okay. If you have an I in your answer, are you wrong? If you have a square root in your answer, are you wrong? That's why we have conjugates. Okay. All right. So we are going to say y equals, I'm going to have x plus the square root of 2, x minus the square root of 2, x minus 3i, and x plus 3i. If you worked ahead of me and you're in a slightly different order, but you have the same, like you have a plus and a minus, you're fine. Okay. Does it make sense? We're going to multiply our square roots together, and we're going to multiply our i's together. So again, we are foiling right now. So my first two, when I multiply these together, I'm going to have x squared minus x square root of 2 plus x square root of 2. Okay. And then let's review this. I have a positive and a negative, so we know we're going to have a negative. And then reminder, when we multiply our square roots, we multiply what's inside there. So I have 2 times 2, so I'm going to have square root of 4. Okay. What's happening to my inside stuff? Canceling. What's happening to that square root of 4? It's a perfect square, so it's going to become 2. So all we're left here is x squared minus 2. Did all of our square roots cancel? So that's how we know we did that correctly. Okay. Our i's, very similar. So I'm going to have x squared plus 3ix minus 3ix. And now again, we have 3i times negative 3i. So I'm going to have negative 9i squared. Yeah. And what's the really big thing we need to remember? I squared really means negative 1. So I really have 9 times negative 1, which turns it into a positive. Does our middle stuff cancel again? Yeah. So all we're left with is x squared plus 9. Again, did all of our i's cancel? Yeah. Now again, what F-bomb are we going to do? We're going to FOIL again. Yeah. Okay. We reviewed this yesterday. I'm x squared, so I'm going to have x to the 4th, which is that what we're supposed to have? Okay. Are you guys okay? I'm going to FOIL in one step. Is everybody okay? So I'm going to FOIL my outsides and my insides. Okay. And I'm going to have 7x squared. And at the end here, I'm going to have negative 18. How are we in the standard form? Do we have x to the 4th like we're supposed to? In this entire section, what should you always be doing? Foiling. Okay. All right.